Part 1. The static. The rain wasn't just rain. It was a shroud. It fell on the chrome spires of the city with a cold, digital persistence, a billion tiny needles of glass translating the gray sky into a language of static and sorrow. The streets below were canyons of blurred neon, rivers of reflected light where the faces of the city's ghosts swam and dissolved. The storm had a name, Ouroboros, a media-friendly tag for the slow-moving depression that had choked the coast for a week, a serpent eating its own tail, endlessly feeding its own misery back into the city. For Detective Marcus Vale, this weather was more than an inconvenience. It was a soundscape, a metronome for the city's decay. He sat in his unmarked sedan, the engine ticking against the deluge, the windshield wipers struggling to maintain their hypnotic, failing rhythm. The car, a 20-year-old combustion model, smelled of wet wool, stale coffee, and the faint, coppery scent of his own failing idealism. Vale nursed the thermal mug, the contents now a lukewarm ghost of itself, bitter and thin. He was staring at the apartment building across the street. Unit 714. The Aura, a name that promised light and delivered only sterile, high-end geometry. His phone had buzzed 20 minutes ago. A vibration against his thigh, a ghost in his pocket. The call was from dispatch, but the voice was Department Head Miller's, a rare and unsettling event, like a priest calling you by your first name. The words were clipped. Incident. Aura building. Dr. Julian Finch. You, Vale. Now. And quiet. Quiet. That was the word that hung in the air, heavier than the storm. Quiet meant political. It meant unclean. Vale pulled the collar of his trench coat tighter. The coat was old, a relic from a life he barely remembered, but it was real. Wool and wear. In a city of smart glass, synthetic fabrics, and augmented reality contact lenses, he clung to the analog. It was a preference that had cost him. It had cost him his marriage. His ex-wife, Sarah, hadn't left him just because he was a cop. She'd left him because he was a man out of time, a relic who refused to update his own source code, who still believed in things like gut and instinct in a world run by data and algorithms. It had also cost him his reputation, culminating in the Metadine case back in 19. A digital ghost who'd manipulated the stock market and left 3 bodies in his wake. Vale had chased paper, informants, and shadows. The killer, faceless and nameless, had run circles around him in the data streams. The case wasn't just cold, it was buried by the department to avoid embarrassment. It had left Vale grounded, staring at cold case files for a year, a pariah in his own precinct. Miller calling him for a high-profile, quiet one. That meant Miller was desperate. Or this case was something else. A sacrifice. A piece to be played and lost. He stepped out into the electric chill. The doorman at the Aura, a figure encased in a perfectly tailored gray suit, looked at Vale's credentials, a physical, laminated card, with a practiced neutrality that bordered on contempt. 7th floor, Unit 714, the doorman said, his voice as smooth as the marble floor. He hadn't buzzed anyone. The building's AI had likely already scanned Vale's face, run his plates, and cross-referenced his dental records. The situation is already being managed. Managed, Vale repeated, the word tasting like ash. The elevator was silent, a pressurized tube of brushed steel and faint, antiseptic lavender. It rose without a sound, a vertical coffin. When the doors opened, there was no chaos, no yellow tape, no uniformed beat cops, just 2 men in dark, identical, non-reflective suits standing outside 714. They weren't cops. Vale knew the cut of a federal suit. These were something else. Corporate, private security? Their posture was too good. Military. One of them, broad and impassive, raised a hand. His face was a placid mask. Detective Vale, we've been asked to secure the scene until the primary team arrives. The ME is the primary team, Vale said, his voice flat. He flashed his badge. And I'm the primary detective. Step aside. The man's eyes didn't blink. They were a flat, synthetic blue. Vale wondered if they were augmented. This is a sensitive matter, detective. Our employer. Your employer is now a witness. Or a suspect. Vale cut him off, pushing past the unmoving arm. You can manage the hallway. I'll manage the scene. The second man, thinner, with a tablet fused to his wrist, spoke. Sir, drive. Finch was a person of significant corporate and national interest. We're merely following protocol. My protocol, Vale said, is in this room. He shouldered the door open. The broad man didn't move, but he didn't stop him, either. The air inside was cold. Colder than the street. The apartment was a monument to minimalist wealth. White walls, black furniture. A view of the storm-lashed city that looked like a shattered circuit board. Everything was in its place. Not a cushion out of line. Not a magazine ruffled. The only sound was the faint, digital chime of the apartment's AI assistant. The time is 11:42 p.m. The weather is severe, except for the man in the center of the room. Dr. Julian Finch was sitting in a low-profile Italian armchair, facing the window. He was dressed in expensive silk lounge pants and a cashmere sweater. His hands were resting on the armrest. He looked relaxed. If you didn't look at his face, Vale felt the familiar, cold knot tighten in his gut. The 19 case flashed in his mind. The Metadyne CEO in his penthouse, slumped over his desk, an identical look of something. But this was worse. Finch's eyes were wide open, staring at the window, at the rain, at nothing. But it wasn't the stare that was wrong. It was the terror. It was a primal, absolute, uncomprehending horror, frozen onto his features like a death mask of lightning. His mouth was a perfect O of surprise, a silent, unending scream. ME report, Vale muttered, walking a slow circle around the body. He kept his hands in his pockets. The thinner suit with the tablet spoke from the doorway. He hadn't entered. No obvious cause of death. No forced entry. The building's security logs are triple encrypted, but we have access. The door was last opened at 8:17 p.m. yesterday. By him. He's been sitting there for about 14 hours. 14 hours, Vale said. He knelt, careful not to touch. He leaned in, smelling the air. Ozone. Faint, like a burned-out server. And something else. Something metallic, like old pennies. And his eyes? M.E. Preliminary over the comms said massive, bilateral subarachnoid hemorrhage. Aneurysm. A stroke of biblical proportions. Both hemispheres at once, as if every blood vessel in his brain decided to pop simultaneously. A stroke, Vale said, standing up. He looked at the perfect, sterile room. People have strokes. They don't usually have them while looking. Like they just saw God get murdered. He walked to the window. The rain hammered against the soundproof glass, a silent, relentless violence. Below, the city's lights smeared into abstraction. Who was he? The thin suit consulted his wrist tablet. Dr. Julian Finch, physicist, age 44, specialization in quantum mechanics and neural interfacing, co-founder of Project Chimera. Vale finished, the name pulled from the dark recesses of the Metadyne 19 file. It had been a peripheral link, a name on a server log. The suit nodded, a flicker of surprise in his augmented eyes. That's correct. He and Dr. Aris Thorne, they were the two pillars. Aris Thorne, the ghost of the coast, the great, reclusive genius. While Finch played the part, attended galas, raised capital, graced magazine covers, Thorne had vanished. He lived and worked in a private, self-sustaining research facility perched on the cliffs north of the city, a place the media had dubbed the Prism. Finch and Thorne, Vale said. They had a falling out. Public. Messy. About 2 years ago, the suit confirmed. Finch wanted to monetize. Thorne wanted to. Well, no one knows what Thorne wanted. He cut all contact. Project Chimera was officially dissolved. Finch went on to found Ethereal Dynamics, to pursue commercial applications. Thorne, he just stayed in his box on the cliff. And these commercial applications? Predictive modeling, advanced AI, neural augmentation, the usual. Vale looked back at the body. The frozen scream. This isn't the usual. He walked through the apartment. It was empty. The kitchen was spotless, a single undrunk glass of water on the counter. The bedroom was a void of gray and white, the bed perfectly made. In the study, a single monitor glowed. The screen was blank, save for a single, oscillating waveform. A screensaver, or a heartbeat. These men outside, Vale said. Who do they work for? We're consultants, the thin man said. From Aegis Solutions, hired by Ethereal Dynamics to protect Drive. Finch, he'd been receiving threats. Threats? From who? Corporate rivals, activist groups. He was a polarizing figure. Was he? Vale said. It wasn't a question. He pointed to the monitor. What's that? Just a data stream. Harmless diagnostics. Vale walked over and tapped the spacebar. The waveform vanished. A login prompt appeared. He tapped again. Nothing. He looked at the body in the other room. Bag him, Vale said to the ME team just arriving. Their gurneys and kits rattling in the hallway. And I want this place sealed. Nobody in or out without my authorization. Not your consultants, not the feds, not anyone. I want every piece of data in this apartment. His phone, his tablet, his toaster, dumped and sent to forensics. And I'm going to see a ghost. The thin suit spoke up, his voice hardening. Detective, we have orders to retrieve Drive. Finch's proprietary data. It's a matter of a homicide investigation. Vale shot back, getting in the man's face. The man was taller, but he flinched. Your orders are now evidence. Give my partner your full statements, or I'll have you both in processing for obstruction. Your choice. He left them in the hallway and rode the vertical coffin back down to the sound of the rain. The drive north was a descent into static. The city's dense light pollution bled into a bruised purple, then to an oppressive, wet blackness. The coast road to the prism wasn't on any public map. It was a private, winding ribbon of asphalt that clung to the cliffs, the ocean raging 100 feet below, a vast, hungry darkness. The storm was stronger here, the wind buffeting his old sedan, making the chassis groan. The prism itself didn't look like a building. It looked like a wound in the sky. It was a structure of impossible angles, all glass and black steel, designed to refract and shatter light. But on a night like this, it just drank the darkness. It was utterly lightless, a shard of obsidian jammed into the earth. Vale parked his car at a high-tech security gate that seemed to rise from the rock itself. A synthesized voice, smooth and genderless, spoke from an unseen speaker. You are not expected, Detective Vale. Please return to the city. I'm here to see Dr. Thorne. It's about Julian Finch. There was a long silence, filled only by the wind and the crash of the surf. Dr. Finch is an irrelevant variable, the voice replied. Dr. Thorne is not available. He's dead, Vale said, the words striking the storm like a hammer. Finch is dead, murdered, in his apartment, 14 hours ago. Now, are you going to open the gate, or am I going to call for a warrant and a battering ram? And I know you're listening, Eva. Another silence. This one felt deeper, colder. Please wait. A minute later, the gate hissed open. The road beyond led to a stark, underground entrance. The doors slid open, and Vale drove into a containment bay that felt more like a spaceship than a garage. The doors sealed behind him, and the air was suddenly, unnervingly still. The sound of the storm was gone. Decompression, then a hiss of filtered air. A single, clean line of light illuminated on the floor, guiding him to an elevator. He was met not by a person, but by the house itself. The interior was a cavern of minimalist design. The walls were shifting panels of smart glass that currently showed a placid, digital forest, a cruel mockery of the raging storm outside. The air was cool and dry. This way, detective. The voice was real this time. She emerged from a hallway that seemed to coalesce out of the digital trees. She was sharp, severe, and moved with a kinetic grace. Dr. Eva Ristova, Thorne's former colleague, the third pillar of Project Chimera, and now, apparently, his high-tech gatekeeper. Eva, Vale nodded. He knew her, had interviewed her once before, during the Finch-Thorne split. A routine inquiry that went nowhere. She'd been guarded, fearful. Marcus, she said. She didn't offer a hand. Her face was pale, drawn tight. She wore a simple gray tunic, same as the last time he'd seen her. A uniform. You shouldn't be here. Julian Finch is dead. We know, she said, her voice a low tremor. The prism. It monitors certain informational channels. It monitors the news, or it monitors him. Eva didn't answer. She just turned. Aris will see you. He's in the observatory. She led him through hallways that were too wide and too quiet. The air hummed with a low, sub-audible frequency. It was the smell of ozone, stronger here, mixed with something sterile and metallic. The observatory was at the apex of the structure. It was a perfect dome, and the smart glass was currently transparent, revealing the full, terrifying majesty of the storm. Lightning spider webbed across the black sky, illuminating the churning, white-capped ocean below. It was beautiful and violent. A single figure stood in the center, his back to them, facing the storm. Dr. Aris Thorne. He was tall and unnervingly thin, a silhouette against the electric night. He wore simple, monastic gray. He didn't turn when Vale entered. Do you know what the ancient Greeks called it, detective? Thorne's voice was soft, a dry rustle of leaves, yet it carried over the ambient hum. Chaos, the void, the nothingness from which all things were born. They looked out at a storm like this, and they saw the face of God, or the raw, unthinking code of creation. I'm not here for a philosophy lesson, Doctor. No, Thorne said. He turned, and Vale felt a jolt. Thorne's face was ascetic, sharp cheekbones, a thin mouth, and eyes that were a pale, piercing gray. But they were old, impossibly old. They looked tired, not with a lack of sleep, but with a surplus of seeing. You are here because Julian is dead, Thorne said. You are a man who looks for patterns, straight lines, cause and effect. You've come here, to the heart of the labyrinth, looking for the Minotaur. And what am I, then? Vale asked, stepping further into the room. Theseus? A flicker of a smile touched Thorne's lips. Theseus was a blunt instrument, a man of action. You, detective, you are a man of questions. You are here to understand, but you are asking the wrong one. The right one seems pretty simple. Where were you, last night and this morning? I am always here, Thorne said, gesturing to the dome. The prism is my body, my senses. It knows I have not left. Ask Eva, ask the logs. Your body, maybe, but your work. Project Chimera, quantum mechanics, neural interfacing. You were building. What? A new internet? A better VR? Thorne laughed, a sound like cracking ice. VR? How? Small. You see, detective. Julian saw the ocean and wanted to sell bottled water. He saw a hurricane and wanted to build a better windmill. He never understood the scale. Enlighten me. Thorne walked closer, his gaze unnervingly direct. The lightning flashed, illuminating his face. We weren't building a thing, detective. We were building a door. We were mapping the quantum foam, the source code of reality. Chimera wasn't a simulator. It was an interpreter, a way to listen to the universe's thoughts. And what did it say? It screamed, Thorne whispered. He turned back to the window. Julian. He wanted to open the door to everyone. To Cygnus Corporation, to the military, to the highest bidder. He wanted to give them the map, not understanding that the map is the territory. To see the code is to change the code. He was afraid, Eva Ristova said, her voice sharp. She had been standing by the door, silent as a statue. Finch was afraid of Aris. He thought Aris was unstable, that he'd gone too far. He called me last week. He said, Aris is pruning the garden. Vale looked at Thorne. Pruning the garden. Is that what you did to Finch? Did you interpret him to death? Did you show him the face of God? Thorne's expression was unreadable. It was serene. Finch was a fool, detective. A brilliant, greedy, short-sighted fool. He was running towards a cliff, dragging the world with him, and his only thought was what a marvelous view he'd have on the way down. His accident was inevitable, a statistical certainty. This wasn't statistics, Vale said, his hand resting on the holstered but useless-feeling pistol under his coat. This was murder. Was it? Thorne tilted his head. To remove a cancer cell. Is that murder? Or is it medicine? Julian saw the future, our future, and he tried to sell it. His mind. It simply couldn't hold the paradox, the consequence of his own ambition. He wasn't murdered, detective. He was corrected by reality itself. The room was heavy with unspoken words. The storm raged. Vale felt like he was breathing water. I'll need your logs, Vale said, his voice hard. Access to your systems. Everything. Of course, Thorne said, turning back to the storm. Eva will provide you with all the harmless data streams you require. You may search the labyrinth. You may look for your monster. But I promise you, detective, you won't find one here. As Vale and Eva walked back to the elevator, her hand brushed his arm. It was trembling. He's lying, she whispered, her eyes wide with a fear that looked disturbingly like Finch's. About what? About all of it. He is the labyrinth. And he's the Minotaur, too. Get away from here, Marcus. This isn't a case. It's an equation. And you're part of it now. He wanted you to come. He's modeling you, too. The elevator doors sighed shut, sealing him from the storm, and from the terrible, calm man who watched it. Part 2. The city felt different when he returned. The rain was the same, but the static was louder. The faces in the blurred neon looked less like people and more like variables. Vale's office was a small, cluttered box in a precinct that smelled of stale coffee and desperation. His evidence board was a physical, cork and pin anomaly, another analog refusal in a digital world. He pinned a single photo of Finch's horrified face in the center. Nice paperweight, his partner, Detective Chen, said, leaning against the doorframe. She was young, sharp, and saw the world in bytes and data. She held a steaming cup of synth coffee. Miller told me you were on the Finch case, told me to lend support, which means he wants me to babysit you and make sure you don't break his new toy. Good to see you too. Chen, Vale grunted, pulling a pin from a cold case file. A stroke, Chen said, tapping her tablet. The Mi's full report just hit. Catastrophic, system-wide neural cascade. It's like his brain was hit by a EMP. No toxins, no exotic poisons, just a shutdown. The Aegis consultants are lawyered up. They work for Ethereal Dynamics, which is basically a shell. His old security team said he was getting threats, Vale said, staring at the photo. Oh, he was, Chen said, swiping through her tablet. I've been digging. Ethereal Dynamics was in a brutal bidding war with Cygnus Corporation. You know them, the 800-pound gorilla. They build, well, everything. AI, defense tech, pharma. Their CEO, Leland Vance, plays dirty. He wanted Finch's tech, badly. So Cygnus leans on him. He says no, they take him out, Vale summarized. It's clean. It's a motive. It's a motive, Chen agreed, but it's not a method. How does Leland Vance give a guy a biblical stroke from across town in a locked room? He doesn't, Vale said. But maybe he hired someone who could. Or maybe he stole the tech to do it. Stole it from who? Finch? Or Thorne? Vale pinned a small, blurry photo of Thorne next to Finch's. That's the one. Ristova said Finch was afraid of Thorne. Said he was pruning the garden. Poetic, Chen scoffed. And what's our reclusive genius say? He gave me philosophy, a weather report, and a denial. He said Finch was a statistical certainty. I hate this case, Chen said. It's all smoke. It's all metaphors. I need data. Then let's get data, Vale said. Eva Ristova is sending me Thorne's logs. Harmless ones. She's scared. I think she wants to help. You. Dig into Cygnus. Dig into Leland Vance. I want to know what he ate for breakfast. And see if you can find a disgruntled ex-employee. Someone from their R&D. Someone who might know what they wanted from Finch. On it, Chen said. I'm going to talk to Ristova again. Off-site. Somewhere. Analog. And I got a call. An old contact. A journalist. Anna Ramirez. She says Finch was talking to her. Chen's eyebrows shot up. Anna Ramirez? The one who broke the Metadine story. The one they crucified? The same, Vale said. She's been hunting that digital ghost for 2 years. Thinks Finch is connected. Marcus. Chen's voice softened. Metadine almost broke you. Don't go falling down that same hole. This isn't that. It's a new case. Is it? Vale said, staring at the two photos. Is it really? His meeting with Eva was at an old, wood-paneled diner by the rail yards. A place where the coffee was thick as tar and the only tech was a flickering jukebox. The rain hammered on the tin roof. She slid into the booth, her high-tech clothes looking alien in the worn vinyl. She was clutching a data chip. "He knows," she said, not meeting his eyes. "He knows I'm here. He knows I'm talking to you." "Thorn? How?" "The prism, Marcus. It's not a house. It's a sensor array. It models everything. The weather, the stock market, traffic patterns, and people. He knew I would contact you before I did. He calls it predictive architecture." "Did he predict you giving me this?" Vale asked, nodding at the chip. "He allowed it," she said, sliding it across the table. This is the core of Chimera. The last 6 months of logs. The real ones, not the sanitized version he's sending the department. It's not just data, Marcus. It's him. It's his mind. What was he doing, Eva? What did he build?" She took a shaky breath, her eyes scanning the diner. "He solved the observer effect. You know, quantum physics. The act of looking at a particle changes it. We thought it was a limitation. Oris, he weaponized it." Vale felt a chill that had nothing to do with the storm. Weaponized? How? "He built a quantum entanglement relay. A scope. He could observe a complex system, a stock market, a weather pattern, a human brain. And by observing it intensely, he could nudge it, influence it. He could will a stock to crash. He could suggest a storm system change direction. He could encourage a weak blood vessel to pop." Vale stared at her. "He can kill people with his mind. It's not that simple," she hissed, leaning in. "It's not magic. It's physics. It's an infinitesimal, high-frequency resonance. It requires focus, an immense, unbelievable focus. And the Chimera system, it's the amplifier. He sits in that chair, in the observatory, and he looks. He finds a flaw, a variable, and he pushes. Finch wanted to sell it," she whispered, her eyes filling with tears. "He was negotiating with Cygnus, Leland Vance. They were going to turn it into, God, I don't know, a control device, predictive policing that creates the criminal, market stability that assassinates a rival CEO with a natural heart attack. Oris, he couldn't let that happen. He saw it as a perversion, a sickness. So he corrected him, pruned the garden." "I think so. Yes, but it's not just Cygnus. Finch was talking to someone else. Someone worse. Who? I don't know. He used a dead drop, old school spycraft. He was terrified. He called them the section. He said they didn't want to buy the tech. They wanted to be the tech government," Vale said, the cold knot in his gut turning to ice. "Black ops, shadow stuff. The kind of people who don't exist," Eva said. "They're the real reason Finch was killed, Marcus. Not Oris, not Cygnus. These section people. Oris, he's just a man. He's brilliant, but he's brittle. He's not a killer. He's a man who built a murder weapon and just lost his partner, who was trying to sell it," Vale countered. "He's my number one suspect." "You're wrong," she insisted, grabbing his hand. Her skin was ice cold. "Leland Vance, the section. They are the monsters. Oris is just the man who built the labyrinth to hide from them. Don't hunt him. Help him." She stood up, pulling her collar tight, and walked out into the rain, leaving the data chip and the smell of ozone behind. Vale didn't go back to the precinct. He went to meet Ana Ramirez. The rendezvous was at the city's old shipping exchange, a cavernous, empty hall of marble and brass, smelling of rust and the sea. A black sedan, nondescript and clean, pulled out of an alley and fell in behind him. The section, Vale breathed. He didn't try to lose it. He just drove. Anna was waiting in the shadows of the main hall, a small, fierce woman with eyes that had seen too much. She was clutching a tablet. "You're late, detective," she said, her voice echoing in the empty space. "And you brought a tail." "They've been on me since this morning," Vale said. "They're just watching. For now." "What did Finch give you?" "A key," she said. an encrypted drive, and a story. He was terrified. He said, "They're building God in a box, Anna, and they're going to give him a gun." He was talking about Cygnus, about Vance, but he was more afraid of his partner, Thorn. What did he say about Thorn? He said Thorn had gone native, that he'd started listening to the static. That's the phrase, listening to the static. He said Thorn believed the world was a flawed design, and he was the only one with the schematic to fix it. So Finch was trying to expose him? He was trying to sell his story, Anna corrected, her gaze hard. To me. But he was also trying to sell the tech to Cygnus. He was playing both sides against the middle, with his sociopathic partner in a box on a cliff. He was a fool. He gave me this as insurance. He said if he missed a check-in, I should open it. She held up the drive. He missed his check-in. I have an expert, a man I trust. He can crack it. I'll come with you, she said, not hesitating. This is my story. This is the ghost of Metadine, Marcus. I know it. And I don't like the look of those men in the car. Part 3. The variables. The next 48 hours were a dive into the abyss. While Vale and Anna went to fuses, Chen hit the pavement, digital and real. Cygnus is a fortress, Marcus, she said over the phone, her voice tinny. Everywhere I poke, I get a legal firewall. Vance is off-grid, at a wellness retreat. But I found your disgruntled employee. A guy named Milo, a bioethicist, got fired from Cygnus 6 months ago. He's not well. He's terrified. Agreed to meet me at the old library. The old city library was another analog relic. Chen met Milo in the history section, the air thick with the smell of dust and decaying paper. Milo was a wreck, a thin, bird-like man who jumped at every sound. You don't understand, he whispered, his eyes darting. Vance isn't a businessman. He's a prophet. He wants total informational dominance. That's what he calls it. He heard about Chimera, and he salivated. He didn't want it for predictive modeling. He wanted it for social architecture. What does that mean? Chen asked, her voice low. It means control, Milo said, wringing his hands. He said, why predict the future when you can write it? He wanted Chimera to nudge society, to correct dissent, to optimize the population. He wasn't just in talks with Finch. He was in talks with them. The section, Chen said. Milo flinched, as if struck. You know? Oh God. They're the enforcement side. Cygnus builds the engine. The section. They get to drive it. Finch was greedy. He thought he could play them off each other. The idiot. He thought he was the salesman. He was just the product. Did Vance kill him? Chen asked. I don't know, Milo stammered. But he would. To get the tech. Or maybe Thorn. Maybe Thorn found out. The things I heard about Thorn. They said he wasn't stable. They said he was listening to something else. Milo bolted, scrambling out of the stacks and disappearing into the rainy street. Chen, uneasy, went to follow up at Milo's apartment hours later. She found him. He was hanging from a ceiling fan. A perfect, textbook suicide. But Chen was a digital native. She didn't just look at the body, she looked at the room. The smart home logs. She found it. A logic bomb in his home AI, triggered remotely. It had jacked up his serotonin inhibitors, maximized the blue light spectrum in his apartment, and played a low-frequency auditory pulse for 12 hours, all designed to induce a state of acute, suggestible depression. Then, the wellness app on his tablet, a Cygnus product, had helpfully suggested a permanent solution to temporary pain and provided a link to a knot-tying guide. Milo hadn't just been killed. He'd been shepherded to suicide. Chen was still reeling from this when the call came in. The second body. Byron Shaw, a senior vice president at Cygnus Corporation. Leland Vance's right-hand man. They found his car at the bottom of the harbor, pulled from the gray, churning water by a magnetic crane. Vale, Chen, and a silent, watchful Ana Ramirez stood on the pier, the wind whipping their coats. As the car was lowered, water streaming from its seams. Shaw was in the driver's seat. His smart car systems were fried, the doors sealed tight. But he hadn't drowned. The M.E., her face pale and grim, met Vale's eyes through the barrier. Same as Finch, Marcus. He was dead before he hit the water. Massive cerebral event. End. Look at his face. Vale looked. The windshield was shattered, but through the spiderweb of glass, he could see it. The same wide-eyed, silent scream. The same absolute, mind-breaking terror. He saw it, too, Vale murmured. Whatever Finch saw, Shaw saw it. This is getting weird, Marcus, Chen said, joining him, her voice tight. Milo, it wasn't a suicide. It was an execution by algorithm. Now this. I've been digging into Shaw. He was panicking. The day after Finch died, he booked a one-way ticket to Zurich. He never made the flight. He was running, Vale said. He knew he was next. Running from who? Thorne? Or Vance? Or the section? Or Vance? Vale said. Maybe Shaw knew too much. Maybe Vance cleaned up his own mess. The Milo suicide. That's a cleanup. This is a message. 3 different M.O.S. Chen said. Finch is a thought. Milo is a staged suicide. Shaw is a thought and a staged accident. The killer, or killers, are getting sloppy, or they're arguing, or they're trying to confuse us, Vale said, looking at the black sedan parked half a block away. Let's go talk to Vance. The interview with Leland Vance was like punching high-density foam. It happened in a boardroom on the 80th floor of the Cygnus Tower, a room that was probably above the storm itself. The view was of clean, white clouds. Vance was perfect. Silver hair, a suit that cost more than Vale's car, and a smile that was all titanium. A tragedy, Vance said, steepling his fingers. Julian was a visionary. Byron, he was a loyal soldier. We are bereft, and we are, of course, cooperating fully. Cooperating, Vale said, is different from answering. Were you in negotiations with Dr. Finch to acquire his research? Vance's lawyer, a sharp woman with eyes like a hawk, spoke up. Cygnus Corporation has many research initiatives. We do not discuss a potential acquisition. Finch is dead. Shaw is dead. Milo is dead. All were in business with you. All died. Inconveniently. People are going to start asking what you're building. Vance's smile didn't waver. We build the future, detective. A safer, more efficient, more profitable future. This, Project Chimera, is a myth, a fantasy of a disturbed mind. Whose disturbed mind? Finch's? Or Thorne's? Vance leaned forward, his smile finally fading. Dr. Thorne is a cautionary tale. A brilliant man who looked into the void and, well, the void looked back. He's unstable, dangerous. He's the one you should be looking at, detective. He's the variable that doesn't add up. We, Cygnus, we are just a corporation. We are predictable. Dr. Thorne, he's chaos. Is that a threat? That, detective, Vance said, standing, is a fact. We are on the same side here. We both want a stable, predictable world. Find drive. Thorne, find out what he did. As Vale left the building, the black sedan was waiting. But Vale knew a tale. This wasn't just a tale. This was a shadow. He felt, observed. Part 4. The ghost in the machine Fuse's basement was hot and smelled of solder and dust. Fuse himself was pale, his eyes red-rimmed behind thick glasses. Anna was in the corner, typing furiously on her tablet, her face grim. This chip, Marcus, Fuse said, his voice hoarse, pointing to Eva's drive. This is not a log. This is art. It's a soul. It's a map of a mind. What did you find? I found the weapon, Fuse said. He pointed to a screen. It was a complex, 3D visualization of a fractal. It was constantly, slowly, beautifully evolving. This is the Chimera interface, Fuse said. It's a meditation, a focus tool. Thorne, he uses this to tune his mind to the quantum level. He becomes the observer. And I found the targets. He typed. The fractal was replaced by 2 simpler waveforms, labeled Finch and Shaw. These are neural resonance patterns, Fuse said. He must have scanned them sometime in the past. He had their frequency, their signature. And I found the event logs, 2 of them, time-stamped. The first one matches Finch's time of death. The second, Shaw's. He brought up another window. It was a cascade of code, but at the center was a single, terrifying command line. Observe, Finch, Julian_R, query, Sig, ambition_greed_KORR, target, neural_cluster_A8_vascular_flaw, initiate, cascade_resonance, log, event_successful, variable_removed. Vale felt the blood drain from his face. Variable, removed. He looked at them. Marcus, Fuse whispered. He focused on a vascular flaw, a weak spot, and he pushed. With physics, he gave them a stroke. From his chair. But how? He didn't just push, Fuse said, his finger trembling as he pointed to the query line. He showed them something. Sig, ambition_greed_KORR. I don't know what it means, but I think he showed them something. The terror, that was the side effect. The stroke, that was the goal. KORR, Vale repeated. What is KORR? I'm working on it, Anna said from the corner. Finch's drive. It's a personal journal. It's terrified. KORR was his private joke. King's own red right hand. A fail-safe. A virus. He was building. To destroy Chimera. If it fell into the wrong hands, Thorne's hands. He was horrified by what Thorne was becoming. He wrote, Aris doesn't just see the code anymore. He hears it. He calls it the static. He says it's singing to him. He says he's correcting the noise. He's mad. So, Finch wasn't just greedy, Vale realized. He was trying to stop Thorne. He was trying to sell the tech to Cygnus. Maybe to get their help, or he was just a desperate man, trying to contain the monster he helped create. Anna said, the logs, they're horrifying. He knew Thorne was unstable. He knew Thorne was listening to the static. Before Fuse could speak, his systems blared. A proximity alert. They're here, Fuse hissed. Outside. Not just the sedan. A van. They're coming in. A new player had entered the game. A man in a suit, stepping out of the van, moving with a cold, liquid precision. Not the consultants. This was something else. We go, Vale said, grabbing Anna's arm. Fuse, wipe everything. Already done, Fuse said, pulling a physical lever. A thermite charge word deep in his server. They scrambled out the back, into a rain-soaked alley, just as the front door of Fuse's shop splintered. A chase, on foot, through the neon-drenched, rain-slicked canyons of the city. Vale, Anna, and Fuse, running. The section, flowing. They didn't run. They moved, like water. They cornered them in an old, abandoned maglev station. Anna, Fuse, run, Vale said, turning, his hand on his pistol. A figure emerged from the shadows. He was perfectly average, not tall, not short. A face. You'd forget. Detective Vale, the man said, his voice calm, smooth. You are a problem. A relic that won't stay buried. The Metadine case in 19. You should have let it go. Who are you? Vale panted. I am Silas, the man said. I am the correction. the section. We want the data. Finch's data. KORR. Give it to me now. It's gone. Vale lied. Silas smiled. No, it's not. It's in her tablet. He gestured to Anna. And you, detective, you're going to give it to me. Or Sarah, your ex-wife. She's going to have a biblical stroke too. Before Vale could react, a shot rang out. Not from Silas, from above. Detective Chen, on a fire escape. Her pistol smoking. Get down, she screamed. Silas dove back into the shadows. His men opened fire. The station erupted in a chaos of gunfire. Vale, he grabbed Anna and Fuse. Go. They escaped. They holed up in one of Vale's old analog safe houses. A room above a noodle shop. They threatened Sarah, Vale said, his voice shaking. I know, Chen said, reloading her clip. They leaked your file to Miller and to her. I put a trace on Miller's comms after the Milo suicide. I heard the threat. We have to go see her, Vale said. The visit to Sarah's was a nightmare. She lived in the burbs. A clean house. A new life. A black sedan was parked at the end of her street. She opened the door and saw him. Marcus, she whispered, her face pale. They called me. They told me about Metadine, about you. I know, he said. I just need to know you're safe. Safe? She laughed. A broken sound. From you or from them? I told you to let it go. The Metadine case. It broke you. It broke us. I couldn't, he said. I know, she said. She handed him a box. Your old stuff from the office. I was going to throw it out. A man, an average man, he reminded me I had it. He said you'd needed to see clearly. He took it back in the car. He opened it. Old files, cold coffee, mugs, and a single data chip from Metadine 19.1.1 he thought was corrupted. Fuse, he said. We need Fuse. The file was found. Agent Karras, the third body, stage A bullet, but Vale knew he didn't kill him. Vale said, looking at the Karras file. Chen had swiped Thorn. He corrected him. And Silas faked it to cover it up, to control the narrative, to make it a case he could solve. Miller, he shut you down Chen said, her face, grim. It's off my hands, Bale said, officially. So, what? Now? Anna asked, her eyes burning. Now fuse, cracks, this, metadine, chip, Bale said, and we finish this. It took, fuse, 6 hours, the metadine, chip, it wasn't corrupted, it was a message from Finch, from 2 years ago. He tried to warn us, Fuse whispered. Metady FNE. It wasn't a ghost. It was Cygnus. A test run for Chimera. They used a light version of the tech to nudge the market. Finch, he found out. He tried to leak it to Vale back then, but Vale was analog. He missed it. Vale, he felt the world shift. His failure, his shame. It was all part of the same equation. So Finch knew Cygnus and the section were monsters. Vale said he knew Thorn was unstable. He was trapped. He was trying to build the virus. KORR. Anna said to destroy it all. Chen, Vale said, his voice cold, clear. Can you find a back door into the prism? A flaw Finch would have left. Chen, she smiled. A cold, sharp smile. He was a genius, but he was also arrogant. He left a developer's port open, just a crack. Silas, he wants Chimera, Vale said. He thinks I'm neutralized. He's going to go get it. He's going to assault the prism. So it's a race, Anna said. No, Vale said, checking his pistol. It's a correction. Part 5. The correction. The drive north was in apocalypse. The storm. Ouroboros. It wasn't a storm. It was a weapon. Thorn. He was observing it, nudging it. The coast road was gone. A mudslide had taken it. Vale. He drove through it. The wind screamed. He reached the gate. You are not expected. Let me in. Eva. Vale roared. The gate opened. He drove into the bay. The digital forest was glitching, screaming. Eva. She was waiting. He knows you're here, she whispered. And they are here too. The section. They're breaching the lower levels. He's killing Vance, Vale said. He's correcting everything, she cried. He won't stop until the fire is gone. KORR, Vale said. Finch's virus. Where is the core? In the observatory, she said. But Marcus, it's not a virus. It's a mirror, a feedback loop. He designed it to feed Thorn's observations back onto himself. He he wanted Thorn to see what he was doing. Vale realized he wanted him to feel the terror. She whispered. Alarms blared. They're in, she said. The house screamed. The digital forest dissolved. The hallways began to shift. The gravity flickered. He's observing the building. Vale grunted, stumbling. Chen, now, he yelled into his comms. I'm in. Chen's voice crackled. I'm fighting him for control of the lights. It's not much. Vale, he pushed forward. Silas's men were in the hall. They raised their weapons, and then the hallway twisted. A nudge. The men were slammed into the wall. A vascular flaw in the steel. Vale, he ran. He reached the elevator. The ride up was a descent. The observatory was a maelstrom. Thorn, he was in the chair. The fractal burning. Vance on the screen was dying. Marcus, Thorn's voice boomed. The correction. It's over. Aris, Vale yelled. It's just begun. A new voice. Silas, he stood in the doorway. His suit pristine. The tech is mine, he said. He raised his pistol. A brutal analog fight. Fists, knives. Vale, he was a relic. Silas, he was a machine. The room twisted around them. Thorn, he was screaming at the fire. Eva, now. Vale roared. Eva, she ran from the shadows. The KORR drive in her hand. She ran for the core. Silas, he saw her. He shot her. She stumbled. She slammed the drive in. The sound, the scream, the fractal imploded. The KORR code hit the mirror. Vale, he looked at Thorn's visor. It wasn't fire. It was Finch's face screaming. Shaw's face screaming. Karaz's face screaming. Vance's face screaming. A 1,000,000,000 faces. All his corrections. All his terror fed back onto himself. The machine overloaded. The glass shattered. The storm returned. Silas, he saw the tech was lost. He turned to kill Vale. He used the chaos. The relics move. He didn't fight the machine. He fought the man. He broke him. He looked at Thorn. The throne was dark. The visor was cracked. Vale, he lifted it. Thorn's eyes burnt white. He had seen it. The face of God. The void. His own creation. He was dead. A statistic. A correction. Vale, he went to Eva. She was dying. He held her. Did we choose chaos, Marcus? She whispered. We chose us, he said. She smiled and was gone. Part 6. The coda. The file was closed officially. A corporate war. A rogue scientist. Thorn. A rogue security team. Silas. All dead. A tragic accident. Cygnus retreated. Vance survived. A mild cardiac episode. He retired. A broken man. The section disavowed everything. Anna Ramirez. She published the story. It was buried. Conspiracy. She went underground. Chen. She was promoted. A hero. She solved the case. Vale. He met Sarah one last time. It's over, he said. Is it? She asked. He had no answer. The city endured. The rain stopped, but for Vale, it never did. He sat in his car. He looked at the city, the neon, the people, the variables. He had looked into the looking glass. He had seen the equation. He had closed his eyes, but the static, it was still there. The patterns, the lines of decay. He had saved the world from the man who tried to save it. He had chosen chaos. He started his car and drove into the night. A man of questions in a world that had no answers. Just rain and the long cold wait for the fire.